I've ever seen in my life for the start of the Total Human Optimization show. That was 2, 1, 3, and a hand signal. I
didn't know
my
if I should
God.
start with 3 or if I should
Well,
just
who
go
starts with 2? That's the worst one to start with. Anyways, after that, here we are with Danny. Last call. Castillo. What's up, my man? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Glad to be back on.
Yeah. Glad to have you out to On It. So you just got the you got the tail end of our first beta On It Academy certification. We were just talking
good
about
stuff.
that.
Good stuff. I was really pumped for the whole trip. Every time I come out to Austin, it's cool. You guys seem to have just up on the latest. Always there's something going on in the office, so it's really cool to come and see the progression every time I come. The first time I came, Mark was talking about putting something together. Now the cert's together, and I'm just excited to see what the level 2 is.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with the certification that we're working on, is On It embraces true functional fitness in all forms. And right now, everything in the industry is really niched out. There's kettlebell niche and a club niche and, rope niche and these things. And then, of course, there's the CrossFit, and then there's kind of conventional training. And what we wanted to do was take all the implements that are useful, put together a certification program that encompasses everything, focuses on both the similarities and the unique attributes of each of these different movements, and pay attention to warm up, joint mobility, cool down, making sure that you can, redline it, push the limits, but do it in a safe, effective way. And we just got our first certification course out, so we're going to be doing that every month.
Yeah, awesome stuff. I think functional training is probably where fitness is going to ultimately be, and I think that's where it should be. I mean, there's so much things that people don't really focus on, mobility, balance, just like every single thing that they have to offer. It's just, you see a lot of guys still in there doing bench press. It's just like, what's
Really?
that really going to do? I mean, it's
going to look good in the mirror.
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
until you blow your front delts out,
yeah,
you can't do it anymore.
And I don't really like to bash CrossFit or anything like that, but I would say, I think if you're working out, you're working out. That's good, but there's definitely levels to it, and you got to take precautions. And if you're not working on the joint mobility and you start doing these cleans or doing heavy sets of intense reps as fast as you can, it's just like there's opportunity for injury all the time, and you see it all the time. You talk to people who do CrossFit, and it's just like, I have bad knees or bad shoulders, and I don't think it's necessarily CrossFit in general, because I don't want to bash CrossFit, but I just think I think there needs to be more of a foundation built before you start doing stuff like that. And
sure,
the On It cert is it's built that, and it's great. It's great to see that someone taking the initiative to really organize, fitness, and that's basically what you guys are doing. So it was cool.
And you're someone who's paid close attention to that your whole career. I mean, you have one of the, longest successful fight records that I've heard of, especially within the UFC. How many fights have you had in the UFC now?
UFC only 11.
Well, within the WEC as well.
I can't say only 11.
Only
but,
11. Only 11.
Well, I started in the WEC, and I had 8 fights with them. So I'm close to signing my 20th fight. So it's really exciting for me.
What's the record? Do you know? Like, who has the most?
Who has the most
within
fights?
the company?
I think
Zuffa.
It might be someone like maybe Tito Ortiz, possibly.
Tito or like Vitor or somebody who's just been in and out of there forever.
I know in the lightweight division, I know Gleason Tebow has 15 wins. I think he has 20 fights.
Wow.
Something like 22 fights in the UFC. So just having 11 fights in the UFC is just it's crazy to me when I look back on the whole thing, especially coming from a desk job to just being kind of, vaulted into like MMA, like being a part of Uriah's gym. I was a month of training, all of a sudden, I'd taken first fights, and then 7 months with Uriah, having his name and being a part of his team, they shot me right in the WEC. So 8 months of training, I was fighting the best fighters in the world in the WEC, and it's just I haven't really got a chance to just be the best fighter I can be, because I'm constantly like trying to improve. The WC was a couple years and they pushed me to the UFC, and then I have to make these huge jumps and bounds to tighten up all the holes in my game. And I'm running out of breath. It's exhausting just talking about it, let alone doing it. But I'm so happy, man. Once you find something that you're passionate about, it's true what they say. It's like not work at all.
Yeah.
I have a great life and a great group of people around me that help me and constantly make me better. So it's good. It's the thing that I'm thinking about is afterwards. That's the sad part. Missing the trips and going and hanging out with my buddies and training every day. Like, that's what I'm gonna miss a lot. It's not so much the fans and the publicity and all the attention that you get. It's those meaningful relationships. Like,
sure.
Like on it.
Well, that stuff continues. I think what a lot of people have a hard time dealing with is, how do you get that same adrenaline rush? There's nothing on earth that can match that, where you're there in a cage with one person, everybody, in such an intense sport too. It's like you can have a huge ping pong match, but it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, there have to be like alligators on behind you, right. to make it give you the
alligator pong.
The same kind of adrenaline pump and dump. It's it's crazy. There's nothing like it, and if you don't, I guess maybe I'll just start skydiving or something. You never know. I've got to do something extreme to keep that going. I don't see myself joining a slow pitch softball team and being content with life, getting my adrenaline from playing softball. So I'm not sure.
It doesn't work.
No, not at all.
I don't think that'll quite cut it. But you got a lot of stuff going on as far as your career stuff. That's something you've been always savvy. And you got a couple with their yoga studios out there in
Pilates
studios.
Pilates, yeah. So I.
Now, everybody listening is just thinking you're trying to pick up on middle-aged women. I mean, that's just pretty much what everybody's thinking. So let's just get it out in the open here and, just lay the cards on the table, Dan.
Yeah, they asked me about it, and it's just like, why would an MMA fighter start a Pilates gym? And, 2 words come to mind.
MILF hunter?
Yoga pants. Yoga pants, that's what it is. No, not so much. I was in Vegas with Uriah when he was coaching the Ultimate Fighter, and there's a bunch of people telling us to go to these hot Pilates studios. So we tried it, had a kick-ass workout, sweating. It felt great. And afterwards, my muscles felt looser, and I felt great. Not to mention there was a bunch of hot chicks in the class, and, it wasn't like hot yoga where you're just kind of holding poses and you're just sweating and you're exhausted from the heat, not so much the workload. And, I kind of fell in love with it and moved back home, won a few fights, had some money in the bank, and real close friend of mine who was actually teaching hot Pilates in Vegas at the time told me you should open up a studio in Sacramento. And I knew it would do well because Sacramento, any city, it's kind of, fitness is becoming the trend, and that's great. It's kind of annoying seeing everything they ate or their whole workout. I'm at fault for doing that. But the area that people are going towards fitness, like a lot more healthier people, that's great. I knew it would do well because Sacramento's a kind of trendy city, and they always want to try new things. And a year and a half later, we're the #1 studio in Sacramento, and I'm closing in on my second location. In February, we'll open 2015 So
Pilates mogul.
Yeah,
well, you're the Damon John of Pilates studios.
That's what I'm aiming to be. It's there's something that there's a huge reward in helping other people get better and seeing people get better and all around, not so much just fitness, and reaching goals and coming to you and telling you, oh man, if it wasn't for you, your studio's great. I love working out. This is just a whole new thing for me, and I love it. Like that's gratifying, and there's something to be said about stuff like that. Like, that's the ultimate for me. That's the ultimate happiness, is telling someone like, you changed my life. Like, that's big. That's huge.
No doubt.
So every day that I step in that studio, I'm always inspired and motivated by some of these women, because there's mothers of 2, single mothers that come to 6 a.m. class, they work out, drop their kids off, go pick their kids up, go to work, and do all this other stuff, and come back and still knock out 2 classes. And here I am getting paid, to be on TV, to train and to fight, and it's still like exhausting, and they have this motivation, and they're not getting paid to do squats or mountain climbers. They're not getting paid to anything. They're just doing that to be better people, and that's
I have a feeling that you take away all the money and all that, you'd still be working out pretty fucking hard as well, though. It's just in your blood.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a cool little side paycheck that I'm getting, but it's not anything that's changing my life. It's more so the people that are in the studio that are changing my life. And this is coming from someone who never, 10 years ago, if you met me, it says I was drinking and partying and doing all this and living kind of like a bad lifestyle, and to change and to have this different outlook on things is I'm blessed, man.
No doubt. I mean, that's one thing that I really appreciate about fighters is the willingness to try whatever works. Like a lot of people be like, oh, Pilates, please, I'm not going to do that shit. But when you're actually putting your body in the lab like you are as a fighter, just really trying to focus on what works because you don't have any room to worry about anything else, then your willingness to try a bunch of stuff, really opens up. Like you hear of fighters taking ballet classes or fighters taking Pilates classes and yoga and all of these different other methodologies, just looking for that thing that works and not having any preconceived notions about, oh, I need to be doing this or that. It's just all about, man, what's going to help me perform better.
It's absolutely true. And, not with that also, like if you're really focused on something, you're willing to do anything. And, for a long time, I felt like I was doing everything. And I made these huge lifestyle changes because it was like, I'm running as much as I can, I'm lifting as much as I can, doing as much jiu-jitsu, and something's still not working. I'm still not the champ of the world, and I'm still not today. So it's a constant, every day I'm trying to improve. And, it's my outside life that, being a better person has made me become a better fighter, and it's taken a lot of stress off of the whole fight game just because I'm okay with myself. I'm a better person, so I approach life.
Yeah, you don't need to validate yourself through your fighting. You
Not
feel
at all.
that internally.
Not at all. And that's it's crazy that such a violent sport promotes so much goodness for me.
For sure.
Good friends, good relationships with people, and just trying to be the best possible person. All from a sport that promotes people getting elbowed and cut and bleeding all over the place and knocked out, and it's all brought on the best me. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I talk to obviously a lot of fighters, and sometimes, they'll come to me with that question, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? And to me, I always answer the same way. I explain that your job is to provide enough resistance for your opponent that they can be the best person that they can be. And your opponent's job is to provide enough resistance for you to challenge you to be the very best person, well-rounded, that you can be. And so, yeah, the sport of actual competition is violent, but the idea is that in order to grow and grow stronger and be your best, you need that resistance. You can do all the squats on the moon that you want, but without the force of gravity pushing against you, it's not going to do any good. You need resistance to train and get stronger. And these opponents provide that for each other, and that's really the service that you guys mutually are doing for each other. Take away all the shit talking and the actual blows. That's it. They're providing this force that allows you to meet that and overcome it.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it, and the philosophy behind that, it just brings on a whole new respect for your opponent. And I just wish my opponents and other people who watch the sport would understand that and appreciate that, because I guess you are the warrior poet, because that was pretty poetic, and that bottom line, that's the truth. And
but sometimes it can be frustrating, like your last fucking fight.
Yeah,
that was frustrating.
Yeah,
but that wasn't necessarily your opponent's fault. That was the judge's fault.
Yeah, but like you said, the opponent gave me enough resistance where I'm go back to the drawing board. I was a little upset about the whole outcome of it, especially my paycheck. What people don't understand is if you lose, it doesn't matter if it's close or controversial. Tim Kennedy,
yeah,
you only get half your money, and so you change your lifestyle of living. you know, it's not like I have this lavish lifestyle where I have gold chains and cars on huge rims or anything like that. But if you lose a huge chunk of your money,
is that what you would do with a bunch of money, Danny?
No. Maybe if I had,
you do have a pretty good shoe and sweatpants game, though.
Yeah, if I had the amount of money where I wasn't worried about it, I'd probably shoot a bunch of rap videos. I don't know, just have some fun with it. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, for sure. So what have you got another fight in the works? Have they been?
Yeah, I got the call from my manager January 3rd. I'm up. Hopefully, if they can find an opponent, that's the date we're shooting for. But there's a couple UFCs at the end of December, and I like fighting in December only because it's I haven't lost in December, I don't think. So not that I'm superstitious, but getting a paycheck right before Christmas and the holidays is always good. You know, I like to spoil my family a little bit, so an extra payday wouldn't be bad. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get in December. If not, looking for January to make my next appearance in the cage.
So we were watching the fights together on Saturday, and Dominic Cruz had a few words for your team. Said he's ready to beat up some more alpha fails. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, the alpha fail thing, that's actually funny. I thought that was I was pretty witty. Usually that stuff doesn't really bother me, but if it's funny like that, I was like, oh, that's pretty clever. Alpha fail, I like that. But you know, I don't have a problem with Dominic Cruz. I know Uriah and Dominic kind of go back and forth, but you know, Dom's been out the game for so long, for 3 years, and I was excited for his comeback because coming up in the WC, I would see him all the time. He's a cool guy, you know, outside of the cage with me. He's really respectful, and I heard that, and I was just like, well, I didn't understand it. You're off for 3 years, and the first thing you want to do is to call out one of my teammates or to call out my fight team. It's just like, how about, you know, the doctors that help you get to where you're at? How about, how about your family? How about your teammates, all the people that help you push to get you back in the cage? I mean, you're just worried about my teammate.
Just gunslinging.
So I mean, that's good because right off the bat, you already know that TJ's in his head, Uriah's in his head. He's been thinking about them for 2 years, 3 years. So that's going to be a huge moneymaker. I think they already announced that.
Yeah, they announced that. Yeah,
TJ's going to have.
They announced that the next day. I wonder how that went. I wonder if TJ was like, "Fuck that motherfucker."
You never know. TJ will fight anyone. He don't care weight class or anything. And as his last fight, you know, they short notice, less than 24 hours, they switch his opponent. You know, John Jones probably wouldn't have took the fight. There's a lot of guys, a lot of
probably
champs.
He didn't.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't. Yeah, I know because I was.
And he had even like weeks.
I was on that card.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were one of the people that got fucked by John Jones.
Yeah, I got fucked, but you know, the UFC sent me a check in the mail, and that's nice. That's a lot of things that, I mean, people don't hear outside. They don't know, but you know, it wasn't a huge check, but it was a check to get by. It was a check that paid my rent for a couple months, so that was good. If without that, it'd be screwed.
Yeah.
But that's kind of cool thing. Not really cool, but I've been scheduled to fight on the only 2 cards in the UFC history to be canceled. So at first I was just like, man, doesn't look good.
You're almost on the 3rd.
Yeah, this doesn't look good. They're they're going to stop booking me for fights because the cancels are going to get the cards are going to get canceled. But Abe Trujillo is also another guy who was booked to fight on both cards, and they were canceled. So it's not just my fault.
You could share the load.
Yeah. So I could sleep easy and not worry about my job.
Yeah, that was a funny because I was down there in Sacramento for that and talking to you guys, and you guys had trained with Joe Soto, so all of you were like, man, that guy's no fucking joke. And it turned out he showed up in the cage, and that was a fight. Yeah, that was a real deal. It
doesn't matter if you're in the UFC or not. If you won belts in some huge organizations like he had, the Tachi Palace, it's in California, but a lot of those guys, the champs, go straight to the UFC almost 100% of the time. And then he won the belt in Bellator as well. So, I mean, I think we were the only people that knew just exactly how dangerous he was because the odds makers, they had no idea.
Yeah, they had no idea.
I think it was like 10-1 or something like that, something crazy.
Started even more crazy, at like 20-1, and then it's just backed it down. Yeah.
And that the thing about that is like TJ taking that fight just is a testament to how good he is because, I mean, Coach Bang was just like, I saw a different kind of, the all week leading up to the fight, they're like, Barao, we got the game plan. We're going to go in there. We're going to take care of business. And they switch the opponent, and Bang jumps on the computer. He's watching footage. He's studying. He's like, not really nervous, but, this is not what he's prepared for.
Right.
If Dwayne, Dwayne, he's always prepared.
Yeah.
Like, I think our workouts were written the weeks before he'd even come into the gym to train us. So he was just kind of freaking out a little bit. I wouldn't say scared, just
he had to scramble a little bit.
Be
but
more
I remember
prepared.
though, within like a couple hours, he was showing me like freezes on his phone, like screenshots that he'd taken for opportunities that TJ could take advantage of.
Oh, I get those text messages
all
the time.
He's a fucking wizard with that, and it shocks me. Like, that's how it should be, like that's how a coach should be analyzing things. But I'm shocked constantly by other fighters, and none of Dwayne's guys, none of you guys, who will be like, so you working game plan? And they're like, well, it's just kind of like, we're just ready for anything.
Yeah, we're just gonna go out there and,
I'm just kind of training everything. We're just ready for. I'm like, really? That's your fucking strategy? Ready for anything?
That's like lack of preparation.
I mean, that's like the default strategy when all your other shit.
Yeah, when anything goes out the window, we're just gonna fight. Like, that's your game plan.
But that's like the solid game plan that a lot of people go in there with.
Yeah, I think that's why Dwayne has had so much success with the athletes that he's coaching. Our team just did so well. It sucks to see him leave. Mm-hmm. But I'll still train with him. TJ will still train with him. I look at him as a friend now. It's hard to just be like, I'm going to train with this other guy because, they say that 3 years with the coach, you can kind of get all that he has to offer, and I haven't had that with Bang.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working his stuff, his Bang Muay Thai, for the last 18 months, close to 2 years, and I still don't have it down. And I think the only person that really has it down is the champ of the world.
Right.
TJ just kind of took that under him, and he just went with it, and he just lost himself in Bang Muay Thai. And
well, I heard some of the stories from that too, because I was talking to Uriah about that, and TJ saw how good Dwayne was, and then started working out deals with Dwayne to get more privates, and more, like, spend more time. Like, all right, I'll film your little videos and stuff, but I want to get private training in response for that. Yeah. And I think that's a good lesson, kind of just across the board for all people in all things. Like, you find something that can be really valuable, just fucking figure out a way to maximize it. Like, leverage it to the nth degree. If you find like a real master that you can become a protege of, find a way to get with them and provide.
Yeah, there's that saying that you're the people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah, totally.
And just some of the people you spend the most time with, and TJ's like that. Like, not only with Coach Bang, but with Master Tong. Before Bang came, we had Master Tong Lore, and it was almost like he was like a teacher's pet. Like, he'd build these relationships, and I didn't really start knowing what he was doing till recently. And I was like, oh, well, he's, it's not like he's using Bang or using him. He's just basically trying to be the best he can be, and, creating these relationships where he just is engulfed by everything they're doing. And, TJ had Bang living with him. I mean, how can you not learn?
Yeah.
Every day you're watching
especially because Bang is constantly going through his head as far as like combinations and what techniques, and I mean, he's never off.
Yeah, there's a joke in the gym that Bang hasn't slept in the last 3 years. So he's just constantly studying. He doesn't sleep. He's on coffee all the time. He's on supplements, like every on-it supplement in the bag. He's just like, oh, would you need a hemp force bar? Or just all over the place. He just he's crazy. He's really intense.
Yeah.
But I think I think he's a genius, and I think a lot of geniuses kind of are like that, just one-dimensional on the things that they care about and they're passionate about, and that's why they're so successful.
Totally. Well, I want to ask you a few questions that may apply to a lot of the listeners here. So you said you went from a lifestyle that involved, some drinking, some partying. A lot of people are in that same boat. They're still in that kind of drinking, partying mode. And what is, you think that provides the release. People have an idea in their head that that's going to give them the release they need. Oh, I gotta, unwind from the week or whatever. But I've found personally that generally doesn't work, because it ends up just postponing, your stress for another point, and then it just resumes in full, if not worse, because you're hungover afterwards. So from your perspective, as you've kind of shifted from that lifestyle to a cleaner lifestyle, a more focused lifestyle, talk about your just happiness overall from making that switch and your quality of life.
Well, first you have to learn how to live life again, which doesn't really make sense to a lot of people. But if you enjoy drinking as much as I do, it's just everything revolves around drinking. Like last night, we're gonna go watch. Let's go watch some football. It's just like, all right, what's the first thing you do when you go to watch football? You order a pitcher of beer. You go out to the club. What do you do when you go to the club? You don't go there and not have a drink. You have a drink to loosen up. It's just there's so much. I think a lot of it was I was just kind of hiding from life every time I would go out, and it's just like, you can't really hide from life because eventually it shows up and it blows up in your face, and then you have to deal with life. You're forced to deal with life, and I was forced to deal with life. I had a DUI really young in college, which didn't stop me, and I was still partying. But once I made that decision, like, this is what I want for myself, and that's just a better life, you start to just kind of face life again, because each drink, I was just like, each Long Island, I was just hiding away from life. Each shot of Crown, just like pushing that, just postponing, what I have to deal with. And eventually, I was, I didn't get sober till I was 32, 33, and it was for a bunch of different reasons. One, I wanted to be the best fighter I could be, and putting poison in my body wasn't going to allow me to achieve greatness, because it's just slowing me down. And the things that are associated with that, like staying up late, eating like shit, like that's all was driven by alcohol. And just not only that, the mistakes I was making, cheating on my girlfriends, doing this, leaving credit cards here. I'm happy to say that I haven't lost a cell phone or a credit card since I've been sober. But I miss it, man. There's always triggers. Sure. And one of my triggers is, what I'm about to face right now when I leave here is the airport. For some reason, the airport's like a strong, like, I have to kind of, sometimes I'll sit at the bar, but a lot of times I'll just stay because, what do you want? You having a shot? And they're like, oh, well, if you can add a beer for $2. It's like shot and a beer. It's like every time I was in the airport. And it's those triggers. But, so much has changed for me. I'm a better person. I'm a business owner. I never thought I would say I was a business owner, and things have changed for me. So, it's led me to believe that maybe I'm better off without alcohol in general.
Sure.
Although life's it's not as fun. It's kind of boring.
You had such a good pitch. Until then.
It is kind of boring.
You threw the pitch away.
Yeah, but I mean, it's true. You have to learn to go back out.
Real talk with Danny Castillo.
If you go out to a bar and you're sober that first time, you're just kind of, you don't really know what to do. Your friends definitely make that, but you have people that are screaming in your ears because they're drunk and they think you can't hear you. You're like, dude, just chill out. I hear you. And it's just, you have to learn how to be a different person, I guess. I
think the best thing that you said is that you're going to have to confront life one way or another. And if you choose, that cleaner path, you get more opportunity to confront life on your own terms.
And the sense of clarity that you have when you're sober for quite some time is you start to dissect yourself. And I think everyone needs to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if life is a fight, which really it is in many, many ways, it's, to win a fight, you got to dictate the fight on your terms, and not just let the fight happen to you. All the great fighters will say that. Dictate the course of the fight, either by your pace, by where it's taking place, by what it's doing. When you're, boozing up and not really paying attention, not setting clear intent, then life's just going to happen to you. Shit's just going to come at you, and that's going to put you at a disadvantage. So
and then dealing with it after you had a night of drinking hungover, that's probably the worst. You're not thinking straight. I'm not against alcohol. In fact, I told myself I was just going to be sober as long as I was a professional fighter, to give myself the fair shot. And then after that, I'll start to drink a little bit. But now that things have been so positive for me, it's just like I don't know if I'd ever.
I think ultimately I subscribe to the saying, moderation in all things, including moderation. So, generally, have moderation. Every once in a while, you want to blow it out.
Splurge a little bit, have fun.
Take a calculated risk.
I do like going out. Don't get me wrong. In fact, one of my favorite things to do when I go out is to buy a round of drinks.
Yeah.
Because it just, I feel good. I'm in a position where I could buy a round of drinks for my friends, which is going to bring them enjoyment. I'll have a non-alcoholic beer. It just kind of puts me there with the guys, and it's kind of like Shawshank Redemption, where they're on top of that roof, and he's just like, "Well, I'll do your taxes if you could just get a beer for every one of my buddies."
Yeah.
And it's just kind of get the same feeling, even though I don't drink. It's just it's good.
I know what you mean. All right, question number 2. You've kept yourself in great shape and relatively injury-free, compared to a lot of people out there. What are some of the techniques that you use that could maybe apply to people out there who want to extend, whatever their athletic capability might be? Like, how do you have that longevity and performance for a long time?
Well, a lot of it is I never really take any breaks, which doesn't make sense because you feel you'd overtrain your body. But I think those long layoffs usually hurt some fighters, because when they're taking long layoffs, they just usually eat like crap. So the nutrition aspect of it kind of comes into play. But the things that I like to do is I take ice baths. I'm in the hyperbaric chamber. Eat good, clean foods. Make sure I got the right supplements in my body. It's almost impossible nowadays to be 100% gluten-free if you eat out. Although it's getting better. There's gluten-free menus at every restaurant. But staying away from gluten, staying away from dairy and stuff like that, I think has put me to this point. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm 35 years old. I feel the strongest I felt, and I haven't felt a lack of speed. I haven't felt anything in my performance that say that age is playing a factor in my performances. So I don't necessarily think it's my age or anything. I feel like I'm doing great. In fact, I'm progressing in some of the things that I'm doing. So I promised myself
like Steve Smith yesterday.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
I'm running around them boys like they were on
Stevie,
the playground.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
35.
Yeah.
Hasn't slowed him down.
I think it's attitude too.
Yeah.
And being smarter with the training and not really pushing myself so much every day. I was pushing myself to exhaustion, and I was just coming home and I was just leaving. I couldn't sleep because I was overtrained. And at the beginning of my career, that's what plagued me the most, is going into a fight overtrained, because you're exhausted as soon as the bell rings. You're already tired. Your body's not. So I guess there's so many things I do, but I guess the heart rate variability. Every morning I wake up, check my heart rate when I'm in camp to make sure. So I'm usually like low 40s, high 30s. If I'm really overtrained, it'll shoot up. So if it's if the whole week my average is 39, and I wake up and I'm 49, I know that I probably should take the day off.
Yeah.
So I use a lot of that to gauge how hard I'm going to go that day.
It's science.
Yeah, there's a little bit of science behind it.
Except for in how many bananas you eat. 'Cause I'm pretty sure there's not that much science.
Eat a ton of bananas.
How many bananas is too many bananas, Danny Castillo?
I mean, I've had 10 in the smoothie before.
10?
Yeah.
10 bananas?
I think the most I've ever had was 20 in a day. Yeah, it's good, man. I can eat. You can eat if you really do it. You have one banana. I mean, who eats one banana is okay. You could eat 3, and it's not like anything that's gonna affect you. It's all clean.
How'd you feel after 20 bananas?
You feel good. You feel good. You put a little bit of coconut sugar in it, and it's not too bad. But yeah, I try to do and try information as well. There's so much information. I think just what I learned in the mobility of the cert is going to help me out a lot.
For sure.
Just the movements, and it's not going to put me in. It's just only going to help my movement and my function as an athlete. With that base, I can be able to do movements with more weights. I don't really lift too heavy, too close to the fight. So right now is about the time where I'm lifting heavy, and I'm kind of staying away from that. I'm doing a lot of kettlebell stuff. I'm a really big kettlebell guy, RKC. So it's just like everything. Yesterday when we were doing it, they put us a little workout, and I was shocked. I was just like, man, this is getting kind of boring after lunch. All of a sudden, we're just doing all this hinging. And because of my last fight, I haven't really been working out too much. But We did a kettlebell swing. We did a club swing. We did a hip hinge swing with a sandbag. We were doing hinge jumps. I was just like, wow, it's just a lot. I wasn't prepared for it, but it feels good. It's the way your body's meant to move, and you get the most power that way.
Yeah, sweet. Well, man, anything else you want to add? How can people follow you? How can people keep up with you?
I'm just like everyone else. I got a Instagram, and Twitter's Last Call 155, and Facebook. I have a Facebook fan page, Danny Last Call Castillo, and my Hot Pilates studio, P2O. Hot Pilates and Fitness is.
Don't be scared of Pilates, people.
Don't be scared of Pilates. Everyone should do it. Yep. It's not reformers. It's not. It's a tough workout. Yeah. So I encourage everyone, if there's a Pilates studio in your area, go try it out.
Right on. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Danny. As always, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And we'll keep up. Catch up with you again. Hopefully get you out here again.
Yeah, definitely. Just level 2 of the cert.
Hell yeah. Make it happen. All right. Peace.